Welcome to another edition of Webinar Wednesday. I am Jason there on the left, and we are always lucky to be joined by David Rockland, the digital strategist here, and so much more at Brilliant Directories. David, thanks for taking the time to join us today. And also for 2024, we have some updated webinar slides, so thank you for that as well.
Hey everybody, so glad to be back with you for the first webinar of 2024. Yeah, I got some refreshed slides here. Hope you guys like them. A little bit fresher looking. Also got some great updates to share with you all for some stuff that's coming soon. And of course, always looking forward to answering the first questions that you guys have for us of this year.
Yeah, we should definitely have some time for some good Q&A. So if you have questions about your site, you need a little help, strategy or technical wise, we'll do our best to get to as many questions as we can. And a plus here today is we are streaming live on YouTube. One of the benefits of that is the replay will be immediately available and we'll post it in the Facebook group. But we do encourage you to subscribe to the Brilliant Directories YouTube channel. You can go to brilliantdirectories.com/YouTube. You'll have the live streams of the webinars there, the replays, any tutorial videos that we upload, and you'll get notified as soon as those are available. And as we mentioned, the replay of this webinar will be immediately available in the BD Facebook group. If you're not a member there, you can join us, brilliantdirectories.com/Facebook. I think we just surpassed about 12,000 members in there. Lots of good questions in there, a lot of seasoned BDers in there. Ryan, I know you're in there helping a lot of people, so thank you. And a lot of new people are joining in there, trying to explore the platform and asking questions. So it's not only for technical questions, you can ask questions about growth strategies, marketing ideas, or just share what's working for you as well. It's a really positive community, and I myself am in there as well with the BDers, and it's a really fun group to join. So look forward to seeing you guys there. And we have a good handful of new names and faces joining the webinar. Welcome to the BD family. It's great to have you guys with us. Just a little bit about Webinar Wednesday. We try to keep things light, and it's really a great way for us to showcase and share with you some of the newer features built into the platform, specifically the ones that can help you grow your community a bit faster. We cover topics such as increasing website traffic, converting website visitors into free or paying members. One of my favorites is improving your website's navigation. That has a big impact on sites and the user experience. So if you have questions on any of these topics or anything else about your BD site, please save them and we will do our best to get to your question today. And moving right along, we have a handful of pretty good BD Lab updates, I think. They'll add some usefulness to your sites. And I'll just start right at the top there with the first one, the ability to segment members. You can now search members in the admin area based on if they are an individual or a company status. So this will be a little bit more helpful when you're trying to segment members, creating your smart list. Let me show you where that is in the admin area. All right, great. So here we are in the admin area. I'll just go to the search members page. And over here, you'll see a new drop down here. There are quite a few search options here. It's called member type. And as you know, when members join your site, they can classify themselves as a company. So on their profile page, it won't necessarily show their first and last name because they might just be a representative of the company. Let's say Coca-Cola joins your site. The person managing the account isn't going to be on the site, but Coca-Cola's company name will be. Or if it's a personal or individual, maybe it's a lawyer as opposed to a law firm. So those would be the cases when people would use that. But now you can search. And one of my favorite things is you can segment them. You can export them or create a smart list for better marketing and targeting. We have a few more filters coming here next month. We'll talk about that and what's coming soon. All right, this next one is related to Zapier, however you pronounce it. And just to get ahead of it, we will be making this update with Pabbly and Integrately shortly after, probably mid-February. They're just always a little behind than Zapier. But now you have the ability to create member reviews from third-party sources. So more recently with Zapier, you had the ability to create users, create leads, create posts from third-party sources, or if you have an Excel list. Now you can do the same for member reviews. You would find the source of the reviews and then attribute them and upload them to the site, attribute them to a member, and add it to their profile on your Brilliant Directory site. So this is a great way if you are collecting reviews, maybe from third-party forums, or you have reviews from another data source, you can pin them to a member and add them to your BD site a whole lot easily now. This next one here is kind of related to design. On the member profile pages, we know when a member has like events and coupons and blog posts and things like that, property listings, there's a tab that shows on their profile page for that content. And you can always choose the order of those tabs. You can choose for your site which tab will be number 1, 2, 3, or 4. Now there's an option to hide the post tab on the profile page. Maybe you don't want those posts attributed or shown on member profile pages. You just want them to exist on your site in a different section. Let me show you where you can hide those now. And I think it would be helpful if I show you what I'm referring to first. So let's look at somebody's profile page that has some content on it. Just a moment here. Let's take a look. This guy has some, let's go here, view profile. He's got some events posted, and then we'll hide the events tab. So here we can see articles, events, properties, videos. Let's say for the sake of argument, you didn't want events on the members' profile pages, but you still wanted them to post it and you're showcasing it in another section of your site. So here we can go to edit post settings under the My Content section, and we're going to search for events in this example, and we'll hit edit. And once this loads up, we'll toggle over to the profile page design tab, and here we have the tab order, the profile page tab order. So if the post type is going to exist on the member's profile page, this is the tab order. So if we scroll all the way to the bottom now, we'll see hide on profile pages, and we'll hit save changes. And if we refresh this, we can see the events is now hidden and gone from here. So just a little bit more control for you guys if you guys are treating specific types of posts in a certain way on your site. This next one here is also related to posts. I'm a huge fan of this one. We recently introduced the ability to search stock photos in the admin area when you're creating web pages. Everyone has access to those. Then for the front end of your site, we released an add-on, stock photos for posts, and we've been introducing different stock photo libraries, but actually this is something we previewed in the previous webinar, but now it has been released. You can actually select stock photos when you're creating blog articles to set the feature image. And let me show you why this is so useful. We'll do this real quick together. So before we go further, let me share the add-on that I'm referring to, and then I'll show you how to enable this setting, since you may need to enable it. Stock photo library for posts, and I'll just drop this in the chat. You guys can take a look at it later if you're not familiar with it. A couple things that we want to do. So let's start fresh from the dashboard. I'm not going to get into all the details, but because this is a new feature, let me show you how to enable it. If you have the add-on, go to your advanced settings and just search for the word stock. And over here, you'll have some checkboxes, and the one you're going to want to make sure to check based on what I'm going to show you now is the enable for post feature images, and I'll show you what the post feature image is. You may want to just enable it for all of it. It's useful for your members. It's going to help them create and add more content to your site more easily, and it's tons of fun to use as well. So let's assume that you've got the enable for post feature images checkmarked here. Now let's go to create an article. I'm logged in as a member here, and I want to post a community article. And I already did one here. So let's say we want to write an article on why dogs are better than cats, or whatever it might be. So now if I wanted to add an image here, I'd have to go search the internet, or I have to have something on my computer already. And especially for members, not just the owner of this site, it could become cumbersome, time consuming, but now it is available. You can search stock photos as opposed to finding an image on the internet, saving it to your computer, uploading it here, and that whole workflow. So let's just search stock photos, and let's do cats versus dogs. We'll search the pixels library, and also the orientation. In this case, we want horizontal. And let's actually do dogs versus cats. Saw some better options with that earlier. Oh, same options here. Let's actually just choose an image here. and we'll download it. And now we have an image right away of dogs playing with cats. And if we have the ChatGPT add-on, we can just say, write an article why dogs are better than cats. And if we wait about 5 or 10 seconds, we can also give it more instructions, the tone to use subheadings, do it from a scientific perspective. We can tell ChatGPT pretty much anything. So I wrote a few paragraphs here on why dogs are better than cats, and we are good to go. We can tag it up, we can add more images, we can add links here. So it's pretty useful here and a quick way to add content to your site now. So stock photos for the feature image, and that's the image that is pinned to the article that shows in the search results on the homepage and more. All right, this last one is more kind of like a security. So if you're adding users to as admin users to your site to work on your site, maybe they're staff members or developers you're hiring. Now, when you invite someone, you send an invite and they accept the invite, or when you remove them from the site, all those instances are going to be shown in the website's admin activity tracker. So you as the website admin have some visual on some of the activity as far as who's being added and removed to your site, and if another staff member is doing those actions. So just a little bit of helpful tracking there. You kind of have a little more visual on who's being added and removed from your site, and it's being stored in the activity tracker log. All right, fun stuff there. Let's move on over to some upcoming features. I'll breeze through these. These are pretty quick. The first 4 here at the top are really related to security of your site or preventing unwanted or mitigating unwanted traffic to your site. So there's a new add-on coming soon, the ability to block traffic by country. So you want to be a little careful with this one. I mean, even if your site is focused on Canada or the United States or a specific country, your visitors might be traveling or elsewhere in the world. So you don't just want to block out every country in the world, but you can do that if you want. So your site's online, then you can choose from a list of countries, and IPs visiting your site from those countries will not be able to access your site. There was a recommendation in a previous webinar to also make a setting exactly what I just mentioned, allow traffic only from certain countries and then block everyone else. You'll have the option to do those. So if you only want traffic from, say, 10 different countries, you can do that and it'll automatically block everybody else. So that should be available probably mid-February. The next one here, the ability to block disposable email addresses. We're all familiar with disposable email addresses. These are kind of like burner phones for signing up to sites. It's a temporary email. It's not a person's real email address. And usually you don't want those types of emails signing up to your site. It's generally a strong indication that it's either spam or an SEO listing company just trying to create a profile on your site. The next one here is more for kind of data cleanup and just making sure things are nice and tidy. You'll be able to search for duplicate values. So if you want to search all members who have the same phone number, you'll get a list of it, and then maybe it's correct, or maybe you need to correct it, or maybe you need to remove one of the duplicate records. So you can choose what you want to search for, same email, same last name, same company name, things like that, and then you'll see records that share those similar attributes and values. So most of the time you won't need to take any action, but also what that's going to be useful for is you can search for duplicate IP addresses, and if you see there's 100 members on your site with the same IP address, that's a strong indication that the listings, again, are either spam or from a company who's just adding listings to your site, and they're not really the type of listings you want. So that's going to give you guys a little bit more empower you to moderate your sites a bit better. And then the next one here, searching members by IP country name. So right now you can type in an IP address and you'll see the member who matches that. If you just want to search all the IP addresses of members who joined from United States, just select United States, you'll see all those signed up members. So if you're suspicious that you're getting signups from an unwanted country or location and it's becoming a problem, you can then search that country and find all the IP addresses for the members who joined from that country. So again, just another way to empower you to mitigate unwanted signups. This next one here is actually going to be the tip of the week newsletter. We've been talking about it for such a long time. We're looking for a mid to end of February release. We're going to show you a sneak peek of some of the features we've been working on. We feel that we owe it to you guys. We've been mentioning it a lot, and it is right on the cusp of being released. We're really excited about it. We're adding another stock photo library to the stock photo access. It's called Unsplash. So that'll actually give us 4 stock photo libraries for BD users. We have Pixabay, Pexels, Giphy, and then Unsplash. It'll give BD users access to over 10 million images and graphics, which is amazing. And then this last one here, we just decided to pull the trigger on it. We're probably about 2 months away from it, but we're really excited and wanted to make an early announcement. We're teaming up with a data company, and we're going to have access to millions of business records, and you'll be able to search by category, location, and add listings to your site in one click. There will be limits on it because the data does cost. We're going to try to work with the company to get the best rate for BD users and also give each BD site a free small sample that they can utilize. But if you're looking to populate your site, just so it looks seasoned, this will be a great way to do it. And again, we're going to try to negotiate the best rate we can with this good data supplier and then pass that on to B users. So we are excited about that. And these are just some of the upcoming features that are soon to be released. Before we move on to the tip of the week, and I know I go quickly here, guys, if you have any questions or comments about either what's newly released or what's coming soon, go ahead and feel free to raise your hand. We'll unmute your microphone and you can share a comment or ask a question. All right, we see Brian B's got his hand up here. How you doing, Brian?
Pretty good, and you?
Pretty good. Where are you calling in from again?
I'm in Arizona right now.
That's right. All right, what's your question or comment for us?
So on the duplicate member values, is it going to be available to search for like the actual address, like the first line of the address?
So if you're going to do that, you would just put the first line of the address in the location field that currently exists and then do a search. So what this is going to do is you choose the attribute you want to search. For example, people who have the same address, and then it'll just find any records that have matching addresses in that case. So you're not searching the value. You're searching for the attribute that would have duplicate values.
Awesome. Okay, cool. And I love the data thing that's coming as well. That's going to be really nice.
We're excited for that too. We're going to create a nice interface so you can search the records. And again, we're trying to work with. We're going to start with one data company and see if we can procure data from multiple data companies, because some companies focus in different regions like the United States or Australia. So we're seeing that we might have to team up with a few different companies to get good data for all BD users.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. All right, good stuff there. Any other hands up? Feel free to ask any questions of what's released or coming soon. I see one more hand up. Carolyn, let me unmute your microphone.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Where are you calling in from?
New Jersey.
All right, thanks for joining the webinar. What's your question or comment?
So my question is, for the function you discussed early, just a short bit ago in the webinar regarding showing and hiding tabs on a member's profile page, you showed events as an example. Is it possible to set this up by membership plan? So a member with membership plan A we can show tabs X, but a member with membership plan B, we can show tabs X, Y, and Z. Can we set that as in the admin section?
That's a great question. This update is just site-wide to hide tabs on the profile pages. There are small workarounds where you can just put a very small snippet of code. Obviously, you would need the help of either the BD staff or maybe you can ask in the Facebook group. But there are methods where you can implement to do that. It would just require a small snippet of code on each membership plan. But right now, this update was just to hide tabs. And keep in mind, if a member hasn't created events, as an example, the events tab won't show on their profile page at all until they create their first public and published post.
Got it. Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome. And again, I'll encourage you to ask in the Facebook group. Maybe someone has implemented a workaround for that, and we'll also be able to take a stab at it for you as well. All right, great. I don't see any more hands up. Lots of good updates. And thank you to the BD community. A lot of these updates, of course, are always your suggestions and recommendations that you share with us. So big shout out to you guys as well. With that, we'll move on to the tip of the week. This is the time where I can pass the reins over to David. And we're going to do a quick overview of the coming soon, the new email newsletter feature updates for you guys to check out. So David, if it's okay, I'll pass things over to you.
Absolutely. So this was an update that was kind of conceived in some decent detail probably about a year and a half ago now, but really adding a lot more functionality to the email newsletter features within the admin area. So when you're sending email blasts to your members or newsletter subscribers, everything like that. So we're hoping to add a lot more useful functionality to the website admin area here with this. So some of the key features that are going to go along with this update, again, as Jason mentioned, hoping to have this out within the next month or so, sometime in February. But some of the key features here: enhanced statistics and reporting based on the newsletters that you have sent out to certain segments, dynamic newsletter editing, so whole refreshed UI when it comes to creating and editing and previewing your email newsletters, hopefully much more intuitive. The ability to schedule newsletters, so you can draft a newsletter today that maybe you want to go out, in 1 week or tomorrow night or tomorrow morning. You can draft it now, schedule it to be sent out at some point in the future. Also, including and excluding certain recipients based on smart lists. So when you're sending out a newsletter, you can segment your members into different smart lists, and you can choose which smart lists to include or even exclude from the newsletter that you're sending out. Also including some smart lists when it comes to the statistics, just a lot more statistics and data reporting so that you can really see what your email newsletters are doing, how they're performing, maybe take some insight from that and ways to improve your newsletters moving forward. And then also the ability with this update to send more than 1,500 emails at once per newsletter. We know that's been a limitation for some users, depending on how many members you have, how many people you're trying to send emails to. So a lot of updates coming in this update, hopefully in the next month or so. And before we show you a quick demo of how this is going to work, briefly going over the goals that we have with this update so you can kind of know what we're hoping to achieve when this update is pushed. Overall, we want to allow you to have a more complete understanding of your website's email marketing performance based on those newsletters that you're sending out to your members, email subscribers, everything like that. Kind of going with the key features here, just having a more intuitive newsletter creation user interface as a whole, so that not only will it be easier to draft and send out newsletters, but also hopefully a lot faster and much more streamlined. Also, the ability to dynamically preview your newsletter drafts, again, just going in the same vein as being able to draft and send out these newsletters as quickly as possible, hopefully without having to send yourself multiple email previews, check your inbox for those email previews, just be able to do it all in one place within the admin area. Also being able to send newsletters to more specific audiences via smart lists. Again, that goes into being able to both include and exclude certain smart lists from the recipients in the newsletters that you're sending out. The ability to schedule newsletters for future send dates and times. Big feature with this one that we're excited to implement. Also being able to see the performance of each newsletter, again, just with more statistics, so you can see how large the total recipient list is for a specific newsletter, how many recipients that email was delivered to, how many bounces a newsletter had, how many times a newsletter was opened based on the number of recipients, and then also, how many times an email was clicked. So a lot of really important statistics that should give you some insight into how your newsletters are performing. And then also, more generally speaking here, hopefully being able to rely less on third-party email marketing platforms. There's a lot of great ones with a lot more kind of granular features and even more statistics than we'll be providing. Hopefully, you won't need to go down the rabbit hole of utilizing one of those, though, such as like HubSpot, Infusionsoft, even MailChimp, things like that. We're hoping to have all of the really necessary features included in the newsletter functionality with this update here.
Yeah, this is a great list, David. Thank you for putting it together. And yeah, with BD, we always just want to give you enough to be dangerous, to get the job done, just to have a little bit edge over your competitors, but being able to do it quickly and swiftly. So we are excited about this update. And what we can do now is we do have a demo. We did post a video in the Facebook group yesterday, but what we wanted to do on this webinar is for those who didn't see that yet is to see how this new newsletter system is going to work. And what better way to start than showing you first what the current email newsletter send newsletter system works, how that works. So this is how it currently works. When you want to send a newsletter, you go to the send newsletter section. You give it a nickname, you choose an email template that's from your email template bank that you have here from the library. You choose who you want to send it to, and you're basically done. You click Save Email Newsletter, and you send it on the next page. So pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Gets the job done. It's been working great for a long time, but it is time for a small overhaul. So let's go to what the future is going to look like, and we can start with what the table is going to look like here. So this is a test site. The final product of what we're showing you, the features may look a little differently, and we're doing a ton of tests on this site, but just from coming here and looking at all your email newsletters, you'll have dedicated columns, as David mentioned, for your total list size, delivered, failed, open, and clicked. Should give you a nice 360-degree view of how the email send performed. We can see here, and also it will give you a breakdown of the percentages based on the total list size. So before diving into some of the things you can do with the stats, let's actually see how scheduling a new newsletter will look like. So when you pop this open, and again, things might look a little different. They will be better on the final release, but let's give this a little nickname. We'll call it Jason Testing. So right off the bat, what we do now in this new method is you don't just pick an email template from the email template library and that's what you're sending. You choose a template that you want to start with. So you can create different templates. You can have a standard template for your monthly newsletters, and then you pick that as your starting point for the newsletter that you want to send. So this isn't working perfectly, but you'll see a demo of what that preview looks like, what the template looks like, and then you can start working on that template. So we'll just start with a blank template and we'll go to the next stage. And here we are in the create newsletter section. We have our nickname for the newsletter, and the first tab here is edit email. And again, what's different here is you're not just choosing an email template. Here you will actually start working on the email that you want to send, and you can choose a template to start with. So you can save a template for your newsletters and just keep reusing it and just change what you need to change for each newsletter send. Of course, you can choose who it's from. You can choose your name. You can choose the from address. It could be teams, sales, whatever you want it to be. And then the subject line and the body is right here. So basically everything you can do in the email template section, you can now do when you are creating a newsletter. And while you're working on your newsletter, as David mentioned, we will have a preview tab. When you go to this preview tab, it will dynamically show a preview of what you're working on in the text editor. So you can work on it here and quickly toggle to the preview email tab and get a little sneak peek of what you're working on. Of course, you can always send a test email as well, so you can see what it looks like on your phone, on your desktop, and so on as well. The next part here, which I'm super excited about, and this is actually a game changer. Not many email sending platforms have this. A few of the really, really good ones do. But when you're selecting your recipients, your smart list that you want to send the email to, you not only have the ability to include specific lists of smart lists that you've created, but you can also choose to exclude people who might be on other lists. So if I've selected all members here to send to, and I've excluded lead form submissions, and some of the people who are in all members happen to also be in lead form submissions, they'll be excluded from the blast, the newsletter send. So you can send an email to all your members except don't send to my paying members, or don't send to inactive members, and so on. So I think you get the logic there, but this is a huge game changer because you could really create segmented emails that go out to really granular lists that you have. And over here, you'll see the total of qualifying recipients. And what you'll notice is just because you've included certain lists and it adds up to a certain number, it will probably be lower. That's for a few reasons. One is you might have some people who are being excluded because you said not to include certain lists. But not only that, this is going to protect you from sending emails that might be duplicate emails. invalid emails, maybe it's not the right format for an email address. They may be on your unsubscribed list, or for other unqualifying or disqualifying reasons, I should say, they would be omitted from the email send. So this is a good number, and remember, it'll always be a little lower than your total because there are some emails being omitted, just to make sure that people who shouldn't get them don't get them. And then lastly here is the schedule email tab. And currently with the system, you can only send now. So you create your email, or you set up your newsletter, and then boom, you send it in real time. And that's fine if you're ready to go. However, usually you want to schedule for later. You work on the email earlier in the week or the night before, and you want it to go out the next morning. So you'll have a nice calendar here. You can choose the current date or a date in the future, and then the time that you want the email to go out. And what's really nice about this is this date and time will be synced with the website time that you've set in your general settings. So on this site, we're set to Los Angeles time. So this email will be sent by the date and time that is synced up with LA time. And that'll be the same for your site as well, whether if you're in Australia or the UK or wherever you may be, it will be synced up with your website's time zone. And then lastly, as David was mentioning, currently with the BD email sending, just because it's a legacy system, there is a limitation where we had to throttle things, and you can only send batches of 1,500 emails per send. With this one, effectively, it will be unlimited. Everyone will have, I think before the monthly limit was about 45,000 emails per month you could send. So that's basically how the creating a newsletter is going to work. Again, my favorites is the exclude and the ability to schedule for later. Let's take a look at the stats together. Let's go back to the table we were at. So again, this is just a test site that we've been working on. So just to start, you'll be able to sort by the status of the newsletter. So if it's been scheduled but hasn't gone out yet, you might want to turn it back to draft mode. In this case, let's look at sent emails, and let's look at some of the sample data that we have. So we'll scroll down here where we can actually see some fun numbers, and we'll just click on this newsletter here. So what's nice about this and what's new about this is you can see the number. Then you can click it, and you can actually see the specific email addresses that are included in this list. And you have 3 columns here: the email, the smart list association, as long as that smart list hasn't been deleted. Here we've deleted and done some testing. And then the status for that recipient, if it's been delivered, if they opened it, if it failed, and I'll show you some examples of that. So this is really nice here. And also, even better, up here in the top left, you can actually toggle the different statuses. So if we want to see who the email was delivered to but still unopened, we can toggle that. And we can see 667 out of 1450 have still not opened this email, even though it was delivered to them, certified as delivered. So what I really like about this is you can create a smart list from this. So you can create a subsegment of based on the email send stats. So people who didn't open this email, maybe you want to send them a follow-up email with a stronger subject line saying, hey, good morning, open the email. Why didn't you open the previous email? And vice versa for people who open the email, maybe you want to send them softer, a gentle reminder to take action because you know they've already viewed the contents within the email. So as marketers, this gives us a lot more granular control and the ability to reach people based on different actions that they took with the emails. Something really important here is you're also going to be able to see which emails failed, and you'll get the reason why it failed as well. So you'll see if it's bounced. Previously bounced means that you sent a newsletter in the past and the email bounced and it wasn't going to attempt to send that to reach that recipient again. It can be rejected. There's a slew of reasons why an email can get can be failed, and you will see the reasons here. Let's just click some of these here. I think all these are bounces. Here we go. So even sometimes it'll attempt to send the email several times. Even here, it's attempted 4 times and it was rejected 4 times, and then it finally bounced. So what you can do is you'll be able to create smart lists or export this, and we're going to try to find a way, if this email is associated with a member, the ability to click to that member's account so you can see who it is, and maybe they have a phone number. Since their email is not working, you can call them and say like, hey, what's your correct email address, if you want to go that far. And then lastly, let's see what's here, the spam complaints. So this is helpful. These are people who received your email and then marked it as spam in their inbox. That's never fun. But what you can do is you can create smart lists from these people and make sure that you don't send to them again. They will automatically be disqualified from future sends. But if you just want to put these people in a bucket and maybe decide how you want to handle them in the future, usually in cases like this, you might want to send an email months later, something softer, more gentle, and things like that. But you have some really great stats here. More importantly, you'll be able to create smart lists to create subsegments based on email sends. And again, we're all looking for a mid-February, end of February release for this, and it will be available to all BD users. Awesome. And with that, let's pass it over to the BD family. If you guys have questions about your site, anything we talked about today, go ahead and use the raise your hand feature. We have plenty of time to get to some questions here. We'll start with Kim. Kim, I'll unmute your microphone here. And Kim, where are you calling in from today? How you doing?
Hi, I'm calling from Texas.
All right, welcome to the webinar.
Thank you. And I've been on your Facebook site. You probably know who I am. Anyway, I have a couple of questions actually. One of them, I like what you did with the newsletter. That was good. I actually sent out my first one last month, and well, I got like 23 open, so that's okay. But another question I had regarding that is, with the AI technology, I noticed that we have to create our own templates. Can we, because I actually created my own template using ChatGPT. Is that going to be an option that can be done within your platform?
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, I'm glad that you asked that question. So we're going to be doing things in 3 phases, hopefully quick phases. The first one is this release of what we just showed you guys. So let me go back to edit to create a newsletter real quick. I'll just hit this. The second phase is how you edit a newsletter. So we're going to make this a little more, it's a little, I'm gonna admit, it's a little clunky here. So we're going to make this a little more easier and intuitive. We're going to create more draggable content blocks. So it'll be easier for you to build newsletters from scratch or create, and create your own templates and things like that. The third phase, after we get this interface a bit nicer, the actual part where you build your thing, is we're going to create a library of newsletters and templates that you can just pick from, just like we're familiar with some of the big name platforms out there. So we want to give you guys, several dozens, or, we'll build it over time, but templates you can just pick from and then just add your logo and your images, and it'll look beautiful every time.
Wonderful. I had one more question, if you don't mind.
Yes, please.
It actually doesn't have to do with the newsletter, but I posted this on, and I don't know if you can answer this for me, but I have a very, very long list on my menu of states, and it just drops all the way down the page. And I wanted to see, do you guys have an option to make it to where it's horizontal or something, so it looks a little better than just dropping all the way down the page?
Can we take a look at your site to see what you're referring to? Is that okay?
Sure.
What's the name?
mycontractornetwork.com.
Okay, let's see if we can find that. We have your site here, and if we hover, I see
That's
here.
it. That's the one that drives me crazy.
I have a couple suggestions,
Okay.
which you may or may not want to do. When the drop down is this long, if the kind of the usability for a user, you're right, it does get lost, and it's, what is it, 50 states? 50, how many
Yeah.
states? 40, yeah, okay. So what you might want to do is just link to a static page that just has a link. I'll just show you real quick. So if we go here and just create a page and just categories. If you just make a page that has, I guess locations would be better, just has the states listed and their links, just like you have them as links. So like, in alphabetical order, that's one option.
Okay.
So you don't even have to have the long drop down.
Okay.
The other option is I can do something for you here if you want, real quick.
Yeah.
Okay, so give me one moment. Let me see what I can do. But let me try one thing for you here, and see if we can do something for you. Change the thing here. I'm trying something for you here. What we can do is you can do it so it like scrolls.
Oh, yes, that's way better.
That's kind of where I was going. But you do, I mean,
we still got to move that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's still, I would create the page where it just links to where you list all the states and just go from there.
Okay.
It's
I see what
50.
you're
It's
saying.
50 different links. It's still going to be hard here, but yeah, I think you get what I mean, right? Just create a
I
page,
do.
and I mean, even put the states flag. I mean, I did Arizona as my state report in 8th grade or something.
Oh, that's a good idea. Okay.
You know, just so it's a little visual as well.
Okay, thank you.
All right, you're welcome. All right, good question there. All right, we got our good friend Rich here.
Hey, Jason, how's it going?
Pretty good, pretty good. How you doing? Happy New Year.
Yeah, same to you. I haven't been on a call here. I've been watching the recordings, but not live for a minute. So, well, actually, to her earlier point, I did put a link in the chat right there about how we list not only all our states, but the countries around the world. We just use kind of the, if you want to take a look at that in the chat as a visual, that's kind of what you're illustrating, but yeah. So there is all the countries, and at the bottom is the US. It's all alphabetical.
Right.
So that'd be an example of what she could utilize.
That's fantastic. Yeah, this is good. And you just said it's a one and done kind of thing. You just set it up, put your links, and you just have the page there.
Yeah, it didn't require a lot of programming, all that good stuff. So having that said, I have a couple rapid fire on the newsletter, and then if you don't mind, 2 quick questions. I think we'll have quick answers to regarding smart lists for members who have not logged in, and then verified members. But first on the newsletters, yeah, that's awesome, super cool, exciting. I'm sure it's been a lot of work on your end. So what about best practices, to avoid, Google marking our primary domain name as spam? Would you recommend like a different from email address, or what are some, if you're sending that kind of volume of 50,000, 100,000, or even 10,000?
Yeah, what I like to do is break down the list into a smaller batch and just feel it out. Basically, what you want is you don't want high spam. You don't want to get marked as spam,
Right.
Too many spam complaints. You don't want too many bounces. The bounces aren't such a big deal, just waste the send because it did attempt to send it. So if you have like 50,000 emails and you're going to attempt to like reach out to them with a cold email or whatever it is, or maybe it's a list that you haven't really sent an email to in a long time.
Right.
Segment it to like 1,500 emails or 10,000 emails. Like 10,000 in the realm of emails is not a lot.
Okay.
It's when you start getting into the tens of thousands,
Yeah. Okay.
hundreds of thousands, then you're being monitored and things like that, because now you're just creating junk around the internet. So
Right.
test out it's also good for A/B testing. Start with a small sample, see that you're getting favorable responses or at least not spam complaints, and then go ahead. And then once you feel good about that, go ahead with the larger send to the rest of your list.
Okay. Yeah, we use like an email list verification if we're doing a large thing.
That's helpful as well too. Yes.
Yeah. And then other note on the newsletter. So would this be could there be an application for using for follow-up, like email drip campaigns to encourage like upgrades or interact with inactive members, using the smart list in lieu of Zapier, but it can you kind of automate the drip campaign, or these kind of one-offs and you just manually sequence them?
So I think it was Kim that I was mentioning to the 3 phases that we have. I think the 4th phase would be creating additional triggers and potential drip campaigns once all those other things are in place. So it's not just one-off sends. It could be a dynamic sequence based on either an action a member or inaction a member has or hasn't taken, or if they've taken an action, you just want to send like continuous emails to them with a nurture sequence. We've kind of been hesitant on that part just because there are other solutions out there that just do it so much better. That's basically all they do. But I think in the 4th phase that we'll get to maybe experimenting with that a bit.
Okay. The last question on the newsletter is unsubscribe versus manage preferences. Is there going to be an option? Because, just as a recipient end of a lot of, companies that I have somewhat intrigued with, I'll get on their newsletter list and it's like too much or too frequent or not, pertinent, but I want them to keep in touch. So I don't want to unsubscribe, but could they manage the preference, or is the default just going to be unsubscribe?
That's good question. So when someone's on your unsubscribe list, they'll still receive transactional emails from your site. For example, like they're not going to get all emails. It stops them from getting the newsletter emails. I think there's a couple other. We have documentation on it, but they're still going to get transactional emails from your site. What I'm thinking right now is if they do want to unsubscribe for a certain type of email, we don't have it right now, but you could even do something right now where they come to a page. and they checkbox a bunch of stuff, and that adds them to a certain smart list, and you can always exclude that smart list when you're sending newsletters, as an example. So I would say there is a workaround right now based on what I just said, where people can put themselves on a smart list by submitting their email to a form, just like an unsubscribe form or something like that. But for the list, they don't want to be part of. But yeah, and also it's important to know when they are unsubscribed. That's basically true all around the internet, because transactional emails, emails related to receipts, those need to get delivered to the recipient, even if they've unsubscribed from newsletter emails.
Okay. And last two questions unrelated to newsletters is smart list. Maybe, I don't know if you do a visual on the screen share, but I thought there was a way to create a smart list for members that have not logged in for a period of time. But the default is like when, if you go to a site like the admin, it just shows when they last logged in, last 30 days or so. But how would we create a smart list for people that have been inactive or not logged in for a certain period of time? Is there a way to do that?
That's a good question, and that would be helpful.
Because that's the whole point, is to, like, ping people, reach out to people with a specific message. Hey, you haven't logged in a month or 6 weeks or whatever period of time. Is there something we can help you with, or just a reminder? But right now, the default, as I see it on the admin, is who's logged in the last 7 days or 14 days or 30 days. But so maybe I'm missing something there, but that's the way I see it. If you search members, yeah.
No, you're right. What I'm thinking is, there are webhooks that, and again, this is piecemealing together some workarounds and stuff like that. Like, there are ways to know who's updated their profile recently with the webhooks, who's recently saved a form and things like that.
But we're more interested in, like, the opposite end of that, right? So, like, because if they're engaged in the platform, that's great, and that's kind of the newsletter purpose to your engaged members. But it's the 80-20 rule, right? So those 80% that haven't logged in a month or whatever period of time, how would we identify those people to say, hey, we miss you, how can we help?
Yeah, that's a good one. First, that would be really helpful, actually, now that you're mentioning it.
Yeah.
And just as a workaround when the newsletter thing is released so you could make a smart list of people who have taken action, and then you can email, like, all your members, but exclude the people who have taken action. And the negative of that will be the people who have taken no action almost. But of course, what you're saying would be super helpful to do, but just I think what's available now would be those kind of things where you would exclude people who have been active and then email the people who have been inactive. And then by doing that, you would just email people who have been inactive.
So we would do a smart list basically of all other members that have not been active in 30 days or so.
Of who have been active, or the vice versa. But yeah, based on one of those, you could kind of construct a send. But what you're saying is super useful. I'm going to pass it on to the team, especially just the login one, like who's logged in within a certain amount of time, or before or after a certain date, and having a smart list based on that. That's a great who's hot and who's cold as a member. Right. So yeah, no, I totally get it. That's a great suggestion. I'll definitely make a note of that and pass it over to the team.
Okay, well, I had another question, but I'll let you go on to some other people, I guess. Yeah.
All right. Always good chatting with you.
Yeah, same here. Take care.
Thanks, Rich. All right. Good questions from Rich there. Thank you. And we'll get Stephen here.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes. How you doing, Stephen?
Great. How's everyone doing? Happy New Year.
Good. Yeah, Happy New Year.
Yes. So great work and very exciting. Two quick questions. One has to do with the newsletter, and another not related to the newsletter.
Sure.
So with the newsletter, with the scheduling of the newsletter, can you schedule based on intervals? What I mean by that is, like, every Wednesday at 2 p.m. or the first of every month at 12 p.m., that sort of thing, as opposed to, on March the 5th, 2024, that sort of thing.
So you wouldn't be able to schedule intervals, every time you want to send a newsletter. You'd have to create one and then schedule a future date for it as of right now. It's interesting that you bring that up. Like, what use case would you want to use that for?
Well, one is it's easier from a user standpoint, or from an admin, it's easier to sort of set it where it's simply every Wednesday at 12 p.m. as opposed to I got to remember every single time, okay, March 7th, now I got to do it again for March the 14th, now I got to do it again for March the 21st.
But wouldn't the contents of the newsletter be different every time as well?
Not necessarily. Depends on the
Okay.
newsletter. Depending on
Okay.
newsletter, sometimes it's a reminder. Sometimes it's like, for example,
I see. Okay.
yeah, I might have an RSS feed, for example, that's or something, yeah, something related to the blog. And because I have a blog on a regular basis, well, Wednesday's my blog day. That's where they always get my blog
Right.
content.
I see what you're saying. Okay. So reminders. Okay, I got you. That's why
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, because I was curious. It's a really good use case. I'll make a note of that as well. Probably not on this release, but that's a really good suggestion there, Stephen. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, and there's other examples, but those are just a
Right.
few.
Yeah.
The second, kind of not related to the newsletter, but has to do with smart lists and the syncing of smart lists to be sent to Pabbly or Zapier. And I've brought this up before. I'm not sure if you guys gave this any thought or consideration, but right now we have the option of syncing smart lists either by every day, every week, or every month, I believe it is. But one of the things that I thought might be interesting or very useful, I should say, is to be able to sync it more frequently, like once every hour, because there are situations where, what I would like to do anyway is, a member completes the profile, and as soon as the member completes the profile, or soon after, maybe like 30 minutes after or an hour after, their information gets sent to Pabbly. There's some corrections that are automated that happen. They get bumped up to another level. A series of things happen. But to wait a whole day, although it's not horrible, it's ideal if it was much shorter. And I don't know if that's an easy fix for you guys or a difficult one.
No, you did mention this before. I think I did make a note of it. We just haven't gotten to it yet. But you made me think of another thing also. Sync the smart list per hour is definitely doable. So I'm going to kind of bring that up to the team again. But also, it could just be when the smart list count, like the number of recipients or contacts in a smart list changes, sync it at that point also, or sync anytime count in smart list changes.
Well, my original actually desire, but I figured the way I just described it would be easier.
I see what you're saying is as they're updating information, the new information gets passed per hour.
Or
Right.
if their profile, my original desire was if their profile is as soon as they complete their profile per the way I describe defining completion, because every admin has a different way of defining how a profile is complete. But if it's completed, and as soon as it's completed, then it triggers. That would be the perfect scenario. But that might be a lot more work on your end. So it might just be just as easy to say you can set it to every hour or half
every hour. Yeah. No, I agree with you there. So thanks for sharing that.
Okay,
I'll bring that back.
just for consideration. Great, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it for me.
Thank you. Always good stuff from Stephen. And Stephen, thank you. You've come up with a lot of good ideas for us. That's why we love these webinars and appreciate you joining us here as well.
We do have some questions over on the YouTube live chat. Open House Texas, they were asking when we mentioned the block traffic by category add-on that's coming soon. They say, I'm seeing an uptick in traffic from India, Pakistan, and China. It is a daunting task to put them all on the IP block list. Do we need to do that, or is BD secure enough to protect my members' info?
Okay, so there's two questions there. So members info. So your members info is protected as far as like the sensitive data. Public pages on your site are public pages on your site. They're open to anyone to view them, and with a simple, highlighting and copy paste, they can kind of scrape the data. Now, if you want to block all the traffic from those IPs without having to do it manually, the block by country add-on is going to take care of that for you. So with just like 1 or 2 clicks, you'll be able to stop all the traffic that's coming from the countries that you set there.
Beautiful. And then another one from Nick. This is in relation to the feature coming soon to be able to search for specific businesses and then immediately be able to import them into the website. Will those business records include profile photos or logos?
Yeah, so the data companies that we're chatting with, we want to specifically make sure that we're working with records that have logos and profile photos available. In this case, it's usually the business or the company logo. So yeah, that will be part of that update, is being able to when the businesses that you're adding to your site, tick the needle that you also want them to have logos. It might shrink the available data because probably most of the time it's harder to get the logo, but they will have it available for a majority of the business records they have. So it will be part of that.
Excellent. And 2 more here, shifting over to emails. Can we upload emails via CSV?
Yes, you can. So what you can do is create a new membership plan, make it non-searchable members, and just call it something like general contact list or prospective member list. And then you can import them just like you import members. And then they won't be searchable on the site. They won't have profiles per se, and you can send emails to them asking them to join your site, take action on your site, claim their profile if you're doing claimable profile stuff, and things like that.
All right, that one was for John. And then last one here on YouTube from Tess. Can you recommend an email verification tool?
Yeah, we just used one from Pabbly. There's a ton of them out there. Pabbly email, I guess it's called like an email cleaner, sanitizer. It's called here. Email list cleaning. See here, I'll send this one. All of them pretty much do the same thing. I'll just share this here. Basically, if you have large lists, you're basically paying like per email that you're scrubbing. So larger lists will be more expensive, but it's pretty helpful to do this, especially if you're uncertain or you haven't emailed the list in a long time and you just want to ensure that they're valid. Here's 5+ email verification. So Pabbly, this is common when people offer a service. They do articles on other services. So there's 5 listed here, and you can kind of, you said Tess, so Tess, I put it in the chat there, David. So if you want to pass it over to the YouTube chat, you could do that for them.
We got it.
All right, thank you very much. Good questions there. And let's see who's got their hands up. Okay, we got Carolyn again here. I'll unmute your microphone.
Yeah, hi, Jason.
Hey.
Just a follow-up question about the newsletters update.
Yes.
If I populate my site with members and their email addresses that didn't sign up themselves or opt in, so basically members I would categorize as claim listings, can I send them an email as part of a mass email out of BD?
You will be able to. What I would do is the same suggestion I gave to Rich, which is you want to avoid spam complaints. That's really the indicator to the email services that you're annoying people. And when you're doing cold outreach is definitely a thing now. There's services that specialize only in doing cold outreach, but you want to make sure your email is tasteful. And that the list actually, it resonates good with, your email resonates well with the people that you're sending it to. So again, you just want to kind of minimize those spam complaints. So a good strategy with that, Carolyn, is maybe send an email. I don't know, let's say you have 10,000 in your list, maybe send an email to just like 250 of them or 500 of them and see what happens, see what the stats are, how many opens you got. Again, the most important thing is the spam complaints. Like people not opening your email isn't the biggest deal because there's nothing wrong that you've done with people not opening your email, but the spam complaints are kind of what you want to look out for.
Okay, got it. Thanks so much. And I do know about those companies that you can send, and mask your domain. So that's good to know. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. We got Roger here. Roger, I'm not going to leave you hanging.
Yes, hi.
Where are you calling in from, Roger?
With Northern Wisconsin.
All right. And what's your question for us today?
Well, I'm still a newbie to this. I've been working with WordPress for 18 years. I'm still wrapping my head around this. I've purchased 4 or 5 of your brilliant directories so far, and I'm just getting started. So I put this in as a question in the meeting here.
Let me check it out. Okay.
Yeah, it's in the chat question section.
Can you show me how to add a 4th column in the homepage hero divider? Okay, so in that case, what I would do, I would just use the content blocks in that case. The homepage hero divider is something that we created. It's like a legacy streaming widget for BD. So let me just share my screen here real quick. I'll do it with you together. And I think you already know where I'm going with this.
Yes.
Okay, I'll just show people who may not know since you asked the question. On the home page, here. So this is kind of what I would do here, but make it a little nicer, of course. So in the streaming content section, you can have the homepage hero divider, and in that, there's kind of 3 options here, basically. A 3 columns. But really, it's a little bit of a relic. What you can do instead is, excuse me, let me go here, is use one of the custom content sections. And I would just use the pre-made elements, basic blocks, and you have a 4 column right there. And you can add images, you can make an icon, and whatever you need it to do right there.
Okay, and can you have a few buttons below that? I know we have one called lodging, and what they're wondering is if I can break that down to, bed and breakfast, camping, that type of thing, and have a different buttons down there. What would you recommend for all of that?
So you're saying within one column you want multiple buttons?
Well, possibly, yeah. They're what they're going to be is subcategories of the lodging.
Okay. Let me do something here. Let me unlink this real quick. Yeah, what you could do is you can, let me copy this, sorry. You could do something like this and then convert them into links. So you can link them up here, make it a link.
Okay.
And then once it's a link, then you can give it a button color if you want.
I see.
You can make it large, small. You can give it the color that you want, like a red button, and so on. So you can certainly do that and do that. Even cooler, let's take it a step further, actually.
Okay.
Let's delete this since we're having fun with tables here. What you could do is, and let me just get rid of this here. I have this. Okay, so in here, what you could do is you could insert a table, and let's say we want to do a 2 by 2, and then in each one you can have a nice organized button here. So button, and then you can link it up accordingly, and then you can do that across, so that way you'll have a little bit more uniform control of the look of this to be how you want it to be. So those are just some options there for you.
Okay, yeah, that looks good. Great. Well, thanks again. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right, guys, and we got Rich here. Rich, why don't you take us home with the final question here?
Yeah, the cliffhanger here. So I think this is an easy one compared to the previous. So verified member option, is there a way we can automatically add, the verified check mark to members based on, criteria that they complete?
The way I would think about that is by using like a Zapier or with the API somehow, because what I'm thinking is you can update a member's information through those. So if you start it with a trigger of these things happened, now please update the member and set their verified to 1, which means true. That's in my mind how I'm thinking. You would have to use something like a Zapier, or if you're familiar with the API, that's more developer stuff. But that's how I would do it. I would use the update member or update user action that's available in Zapier. Yeah.
Okay. Easy enough. Appreciate it, man. Thanks again.
All right. Good chatting with you, Rich.
Same here.
And yeah, thank you. And guys, thank you for another amazing webinar, first one of the year. David, thank you so much for putting together these slides. Seems like the newsletter is going to be a big hit, and we hope to get it to you guys very soon. We don't want to keep you in more suspense than is required. Lots of lab updates underway. Lots of new releases. The replay will be available in the Facebook group. If you're not a member, please join us, brilliantdirectories.com/Facebook. Those of you that joined us in YouTube land, thank you, and we look forward to seeing you in the next webinar. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks. It will be mid-February, close to Valentine's Day, and that will be the next webinar Wednesday. On behalf of myself, David, and the entire Brilliant Directories family, we appreciate you guys so much. You have no idea, and we look forward to seeing you in the next webinar. Have a great day and a brilliant week. Take care, guys. Bye now.